Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome everybody and thanks for joining me. And today we're going to be talking about tips for making and eating cultured foods. I've been doing this for 22 years and I know a lot. I mean, if anybody's going to screw it up, it was going to be me. So I know a lot about it. I've been doing it because I love it and because it's made me well. But I've learned a lot of new things too that I wanted to share with you. And I'm basing this on a lot of the questions that people ask me and email me about. And these are some of the questions that are most common. I also have frequently asked questions on my website on every cultured food. If you go to my website at culturedfoodlife.com, you'll see in the menu bar a little smiley pot that says start here. We have like 9 different sections on kefir, cultured vegetables, kombucha, yogurt, all those things. And every one of them has an FAQ section too. But these are some that aren't generally on there. So I wanted to share them with you just to give you some extra help to make cultured foods, because many people think it's really hard. It's not. It's just new. It's just you haven't done it before. So I'm going to help you with a few things. One of the biggest questions I get is about El Ruderai yogurt or El Gasarai yogurt. And something I've learned in the last year and a half is that if your El Ruderai yogurt gets really sour tasting and separates a lot, that means it's overly active. It's getting stronger and stronger because it's getting more sour tasting, which means you have a high CFU counts, which is colony forming units. So it's very, very strong. So if you want it less sour and you want it to separate less, then you need to calm it down. So what we recommend, what we have found works, is to use less of the prebiotic. We use Prebio Plus in ours. Some people use inulin. Other people use potato starch. But whichever one you use, cut that in half. Oh, and if it's really sour, you can even leave it out because it's got so much active colony forming units that it's causing it to just be supersonic. So we have found that really helps people. Now, some people are having a little bit of trouble in the summertime. If the humidity level or your house is really warm, that can cause your yogurt to get overly active and separate more, which isn't bad. It's still good for you. It still has all the values. It just doesn't look or taste. It doesn't look this yummy. But a lot of that is the humidity in your home. And it can get really, really warm. So it's kind of fermenting faster. So you could cut down a couple hours if your home is, in the 80s or above, maybe not do 36. Do 34, 35, because you really need to go the full amount of time most of the time, because El Ruderai doesn't start to really create those El Ruderai probiotics until hour 30. It takes a long time for it to get going. You're really not getting any El Ruderai if you do it before 30 hours. And I recommend going the whole 36, even if your home is warm. Just turn down your thermostat in your yogurt maker to 97 or 96. Try to adjust it that way, because you really don't know, unless you test it, how many units you're getting. But we do know at the 36 hours when you're getting the most. So that's really important. A lot of people want to do it less time, but then you won't get anything. You'll have a nice yogurt, but you won't get any El Ruderai. So, and that's just the nature of El Ruderai. It's not really a yogurt. It's a bacteria strain that's not really made for yogurt. But we figured out how to do it to get lots and lots of El Ruderai. It's one of the best ways to get El Ruderai in the body. It really, really helps. Now, another tip that I want to tell you, the milk you use, be it half and half or 2%, and there's non-dairy milks you can do to make El Ruderai. Half and half only has about 2 to 3 carbohydrates in it per cup. So you really need the prebio in it. You can use less if it's separating, but you do need some kind of prebiotic in it to give it food so that it can make all those probiotics. 2% milk or whole milk has a lot of carbohydrates. That's like 12 to 15. So you still need prebio in it, but you probably don't need, or inulin. You probably don't need quite as much if you're having problems with separation. So it all depends. The half and half works the best, but I almost always make mine with 2% milk. And it works fabulous. That's the one I think it works better than whole milk. And I just eat a lot of it, so I like the calorie content of El Ruderai. So, and it's most of the sugars are gone when you make El Ruderai because it's been fermented for 36 hours. And that goes for almost all of the cultures. The sour taste that you're tasting is the milk sugars that are gone from the milk because the probiotics eat as fuel. They eat all the lactose up in milk. That's what they do. So it's 99.9% lactose free, but the calories diminish, and you get, you lactic acid in there, but you're not getting the sugar calories that you would. And that's why it tastes sour, because the lactose is gone. So you can use all different kinds of milk to make the yogurt. We have some non-dairy ones that work. I do have to say Algasarai does not work very well without non-dairy milk. I've had a lot of people have problems. We've had a couple people that have been, well, okay, I take like one person that's done successfully, and I think she used coconut. I'm not sure. Coconut milk with Algasarai, but you tend to get a lot of problems with it, so it doesn't work as well. But you can experiment because most nut milks are water. They're made with mostly water, so they tend to not get thick and don't do as well. We've got some recipes. We have a lot of non-dairy recipes for El Ruderai, and that works very well. So if you want to see those recipes, head over to my website, Culture for Your Life, and hit recipes, and then pick the yogurt section, and they'll show you all of those. And I'll try to put a link description below to help you out with that. Now, I have people ask me all the time, what's the best time of day to eat cultured foods? Okay, here's something that I do. I always have kefir in the morning, and sometimes El Ruderai. This morning I had yogurt plus with blueberries and almonds, and I had made some lemon curd. So that's what I had for breakfast. But I always have usually a smoothie or yogurt for breakfast. Most of the times it's a smoothie, just because it's fast and easy. It helps me get my day started off right. It floods my body with nutrients. But if I'm sick, if anything happens or I get a cold or something, I'd like to take some cultured veggie juice or a little bit of kefir before I go to bed, because then the bacteria has a chance to grow and multiply, and I'm not putting other foods in there that are stopping that from, proliferating as much. So I think if you're sick, a little bit before you go to bed can really help you. But other than that, you can have it anytime you want. I do it all the time. I do it all day long. I also want to tell you about making cheese from yogurt. I love to make kefir cheese, but I love to make yogurt cheese, and it's super easy to do. So any of these yogurts you make, you can make into cheese. And basically all you do is get a bowl and put a strainer in it, and then put a coffee filter in it. Pour the yogurt in there or pour the kefir in there. And I like to cover mine with plastic wrap and stick it in the fridge and let it drain for 24 hours. You'll get whey in the bottom, the clear whey, and then you'll get a lump of cheese in your strainer. It works fabulous. It's really good. El Ruderai makes great cheese, by the way. And the longer you strain it, the harder the cheese will be. It mostly makes a soft cream cheese type of a texture, but it really makes wonderful cheese. So if people ask me that all the time, and you can make cheese with yogurt, it's wonderful. And I love to use yogurt cheese in ice cream. That makes a very creamy, delicious tasting ice cream. And I always use allulose in my ice cream, which is a sweetener that is made from figs. And there's another, I think raisins too. And it has a low freezing point, so it doesn't get rock hard in the freezer if you want to make a sugar-free ice cream. I found this because there was a ice cream shop here that used 80% allulose in their gelato, and they were from Italy. And so it had 80% less sugar in it than the other gelato places. And it was because allulose has a low freezing point, and it works really good for ice cream. And the cheese makes really good ice cream too, yogurt cheese. I even have a frozen yogurt recipe. So you can head over to my site, all my recipes, and just click the ice cream, and you'll see I think I have 15 or 18 ice cream made from kefir or yogurt, and they're delicious. So people ask me the next question all the time, how much cultured food should I have? Well, when you first start out, I recommend you have very small amounts, because here's the deal. You're going to be flooding your body with billions of good bacteria, and they are going to want to take over. They're going to want to kill the pathogens. They're going to take over your gut and recolonize things. And they basically are like a little army. And bacteria works in numbers. The more numbers it has, the stronger it is, and the more recruits they get, and the more they dominate. So in the beginning, you want to start more slowly. Make maybe like a fourth a cup of kefir, half a cup of kefir at the most, a tablespoon of cultured veggies if you want to try that. And kombucha, same, 3 or 4 ounces is plenty. Just go slowly, and the body will catch up very, very fast. You may have like a little die-off experience where when bacteria dies off that's harmful, it can give off toxins. Like Candida can do that. It can give off 80 toxins. So it can make you feel kind of not so good, kind of flu-like symptoms, but kind of more sluggish is usually what it is. It just depends on how healthy you are. And so if you just start out slowly, it will happen more slowly, and you won't have that big healing crisis that can occur if I call it the nuclear blast off, where you take a bunch of cultured foods all at once, and it's a lot. So go slowly, fourth to half a cup a day kefir or yogurt, is a tablespoon of cultured veggie, or the juice works just as well. 3 or 4 ounces of either kefir, soda, kombucha, whatever you're using, just do it slowly. Let your body adjust, build up that good bacteria slowly, and then you're off and running. Now, people ask me this question a lot too. What cultured food is the best to start with? Well, I'm going to tell you what I started with, which was kefir. And kefir has the most probiotics of any of the cultured foods. It's 50 plus. And so it's a great one to start with. I just helped somebody, and I just put out a blog about this and a recipe. It's called, what was the name of that recipe? It's called, I think it's Get Better Kefir Smoothie. And she was very, very sick. And I taught her to just take kefir, half a cup, put some juice in it or frozen fruit, whichever one she liked, and drink it. And that was super easy for her. She was able to she went on a cruise and took it. And it made all the difference in the world for her. And it said that it's just a fantastic way to get, to get started with cultured foods. Is just mix it with a little fruit or mix it with a little juice and make it into a smoothie. You can put ice in it. You can put it frothy. It's fabulous. And it tastes so good. I think kefir's the best one to start with because it has the most probiotics. It's the easiest to make. You're basically just putting kefir in milk, whether it's non-dairy or dairy, and letting it sit for 24 hours. And if you make it with kefir grains, you got to strain out the grains. But if you make easy kefir, which is made from grains, but you don't get any grains, you're done in 24 hours. You're done with it, and you just stick it in the fridge. So that's what I recommend. Now probably the best thing to do is start with what most interests you. If you're drawn to kombucha, if you're drawn to cultured veggies, start with that because that's probably your body telling you that you need it. But that's just where I started. Now, another question I get all the time is, can I blend my yogurt and kefir in a blender? Yes. People tell you not to, but here's the thing. Bacteria is microscopic. And I've been making kefir and yogurt for years and I've gotten huge benefits. And I blend it all the time, like almost every day. So if it wasn't going to work, blending it does not kill the probiotics. I wouldn't have gotten better. So, and it works with the yogurts too, because I've gotten huge benefits from things like L-reuteri and Yogurt Plus. So you can blend away and it's fine because the bacteria is so tiny anyway, that it survives just fine. I'm not sure how that urban myth got started, but it really is fine to blend your food. Okay. Next question. What is the best way to start kids on cultured food? Again, start them very slowly. I started my kids on kefir and it was just a spoonful. I would make a smoothie and give them a thing and my daughter thought it was a lemon milkshake. I told her it was. And she loved it. But I started them very slowly with just spoonfuls here and there. You can start them on what you think they would like the most. If it's cultured vegetables, I always did the carrots because the kids liked the carrots and they don't taste that different than regular carrots. Carrots don't get super sour because there's so much sugar in them. And kids love them. And I would put stuff in some of our condiments and stuff. So they were getting probiotics in all kinds of desserts that I made. And I put cultured veggie juice in ketchup until I started making my own ketchup that was cultured. I would put it on all kinds of things. And they would slowly get those cultured foods. But I didn't make a big deal about it. And I would just give them something that I knew that they would like the taste of. And they seemed to do fine. And years later, now they all make and do their own smoothies, and they're all grown up, and these foods are still a big part of their lives. Now, here's another big question I get. What do I do with all my kombucha Scobies? Because every week that you make kombucha, you get a Scobie. So I have a huge blog that has 20 ways to use your extra Scobies. And Scobies are actually good for you. I mean, you could actually eat them. You could make it into puree, and we make a slushy with them. We've got all different kinds of 20 ways to help you use up your kombucha Scobies. And I will link that in the description below because there's a lot of different things you can do with them. People also ask me what to do with their extra kefir grains, because your grains should be, if you're making kefir every day, they'll grow and double every single week. And I have a big blog on that. I think it's 7 ways to use your extra ways to use your kefir grains. And you can just blend them in a smoothie. And that works really, really well to blend them in a smoothie because you don't notice them. They go away. They just blend in. And they have properties in them that are very, very good for you, very healthy for you to eat. And they have anti-tumor properties, anti-cancer properties that they've done a lot of studies on in mice that have shrunk tumors. So they're very good for you. Or you could just discard them. But I would really encourage you to blend them in a smoothie, and you won't taste them, and you'll get all the benefits from the kefir grains themselves, because they're pretty powerful little creatures that are, well, they're not creatures, but they kind of look like rubbery cauliflower. So they're all part of what makes kefir such a powerful food. So I encourage you to eat them. So these are just a few tips and tricks. I'm trying to think of more. I'm keeping records of things that people ask me a lot. So if you have questions, feel free to ask me, and maybe I'll do another podcast and try to answer some of those questions, because a lot of people feel overwhelmed by it, but they shouldn't, because it's just new. It's not hard. And I can make it easy because I don't do anything hard. So I have all the help you need on my website. Everything's free that you can learn. If you want to learn how to make kefir or yogurt or kombucha or culture, it's all there in that little smiley pot on the front of my page at culturefoodlife.com, and it says start here. Drop down, you'll see all 9 different categories with lots of help in every category on how to make these foods. They're powerful, they'll change your life, and they can make all the difference. Now, they are the road less traveled, but I tell you what, eating these foods for the last 22 years, my life is significantly different than it would have been had I not, because I wasn't well when I started these foods, and I had a lot of things like high blood pressure, diabetes, and those things went away very quickly. And not only that, it helps me to clean up the rest of my diet. And from that day to this, I still take it because it has made all the difference for me. So thanks, guys, for listening, and stay tuned, and we'll see you next week.